Welcome back to my channel again for the part 2 of indifference curve analysis under consumer behavior in economics. Now those who have just clicked part 2 and have not gone through part 1 of this video, first check the part 1 of this video and then you'll be able to understand part 2 of this video very clearly. Okay, let's start with the graphical representation of indifference curve. Let us understand what is indifference curve analysis. Indifference curve analysis is one type of approach which helps us understand the behavior of the consumer in conditions of unlimited wants and limited resources. Indifference curve analysis takes two things into consideration to explain how consumer reaches equilibrium. One is the indifference map, which represents the unlimited part, unlimited wants, and the other is the budget line or budget constraints, which represents the limited resources issue of the consumer. And we will see how consumer reaches equilibrium when these two things are there, where on the one hand he would try to achieve maximum satisfaction for himself, and on the other hand he has budget constraints, which we will show with the help of the graph and a budget line. Here is the graph of indifference curve analysis representing consumers' equilibrium. You can see we have used some convex curves and some linear graphs. On the y-axis, if you can see, we have measured the ice cream. On the x-axis, we have measured the samosas. So we have two goods and consumer has to choose between these two goods. Sometimes only ice cream, sometimes maybe only samosa, or sometimes a combination of these two. What we can see over here is that the indifference curve over here are 3, and these curves are representing different level of satisfactions. So let us first go to IC1. So you can see this is a curve which is IC1. That means it is indifference curve which is representing some amount of satisfaction, where the consumption of these two goods to the consumer are giving same level of satisfaction. The different combinations, if you can see, are giving the same level of satisfaction, and when we join these combinations we get a curve called as indifference curve. Let us go one by one to these combinations. On this graph, I have mentioned only 3 combinations, but it can be as many as 100 combinations, or as many as 10 combinations as per our units which we have taken to represent what is indifference curve. To make it simple, I have taken only 3 combinations. So you can see over here, ice cream is measured on the y-axis and samosas are measured on the x-axis. And point A represents 9 units of ice creams and 1 unit of samosa. On the other hand, combination C represents 9 units of samosas and 1 unit of the ice cream. Now these 3 combinations of 9 ice cream, 1 samosa, and 1 ice cream, 9 samosas are giving same level of satisfaction to the consumer. That is what we have assumed, and it is a logical assumption because we are not increasing the amount of the samosas, keeping the quantity of the ice cream same, and then we are saying that it is deriving same level of satisfaction. We are doing this because we are reducing some amount of ice cream when we are increasing some amount of or some quantity of samosas. So we can easily assume that this particular IC1 shows same level of satisfaction to a consumer, whether it is 9 ice cream, 1 samosa, or 9 samosas or 1 ice cream. Why we are not saying that this graph, you can see point ADH. Point ADH are showing different level of combinations between ice creams and samosas. Why we are not saying that if you join these points, it also becomes the indifference curve? Because if you can see, any consumer, if he or she is a rational consumer, will always prefer more to less. So here you see that at point A, when one consumer is having the basket with 9 ice creams and 1 samosa, at point D, consumer is having the basket of 9 ice cream and almost 3 samosas. At point H, consumer is having the basket of 9 ice cream and 5 samosas. So obviously A is not equal to D is not equal to H. Any consumer who prefers more to less will always want H amount of ice cream and samosas compared to D compared to A, because always a rational consumer will prefer more to less if there is no budget constraint. So we are only thinking about the unlimited part of this graph, which is represented with the help of different level of IC curves. Now you can see easily with this example that H is on the highest level of IC curve. That means all the points on this IC3 are representing the same level of satisfaction, which is greater than D, B and F and greater than A, K and C. So the higher the level of indifference curve, the higher is the level of satisfaction. The farther the indifference curve from the origin, the higher is the level of satisfaction. So if I give you a chance, if I say that you don't have to pay anything, you don't have any budget constraint, which option, which indifference curve you would want to choose being a rational consumer? And I know without thinking twice, you will definitely answer that IC3 would be your choice of consumption. If you don't have to pay any money, you will definitely always want more to less over the other indifference curve as IC2 and IC1. Now let us look at the properties of these indifference curves. You must be wondering that why this indifference curve is convex to the origin, why these curves are parallel to each other and not intersecting, and you must be wondering why these indifference curves are sloping downwards. So we have three properties of indifference curve. First definitely is called as the marginal rate of substitution. So marginal rate of substitution is the rate at which you substitute one good with the other good. If we don't follow this marginal rate of substitution, we will not be able to be on the same indifference curve. In order to make sure that we are on the same indifference curve and we have the same level of satisfaction with different combinations of two goods, we should follow rate of substitution. If we don't follow this rate of substitution, we will be, like I have given you the earlier example, we will be on this indifference curve if we join these lines A, D and H, and this will not give you the same level of satisfaction because H point is higher than D point, and D point is giving high level of satisfaction than A point. Why it is giving high level of satisfaction? Because H point has more number of ice creams and samosas compared to D point and compared to A point. So the first thing why it slopes downward is because we need to substitute one good with the other good in order to make consumer having same level of satisfaction. The second thing which you must be wondering is that why it is convex to the origin. It is convex to the origin because of the law of diminishing marginal utility. Like I have explained this in part 1 of the video, that if you have more amount of good, you will have lesser and lesser marginal utility for that good. So it is very difficult for the consumer to exchange ice creams with samosas or substitute ice cream with samosas with the same ratio. Because law of diminishing marginal utility operates over here, it applies over here. So we have a convex nature of a curve where the one ice cream will be substituted with lesser and lesser amount of samosa if it is going up, and one samosa will be substituted with lesser and lesser amount of ice cream if it is coming down, if it is coming from A to K to C. This is why it has convexity in nature, this curve. Now, third characteristic of these indifference curves are that they don't intersect with each other. You can see that these are parallel. Why they don't intersect with each other? It has a very simple logic. Let's say if these two indifference curve intersects with each other, what will happen in this case is that first of all, we are saying that higher the level of indifference curve, higher is the level of satisfaction. And then we are saying that if these two indifference curve intersects with each other, there is some point where the combination of good is same, and there is some point where these two indifference curves are giving you the same level of satisfaction, which then will become completely illogical. So that is why we have parallel or non-intersecting indifference curves in indifference map, and two indifference curves should not intersect each other. This is how we explain the unlimited wants part of under the indifference curve analysis. IC1, IC2 and IC3 are representing different indifference curve, and these three IC curves along with all those imaginary IC curves which are not seen over here, which are not drawn over here, are called as indifference map. Indifference map only represents the unlimited wants of the consumers, and any consumer, if it doesn't have any budget constraint, will definitely want to achieve the highest level of indifference curve no matter what, if she or he is a rational person. The second thing we have to understand is the budget constraint, which is the limited resources, and which brings the scarcity, and which brings consumer to exercise so much over it that what he wants, what he doesn't want, by combining these two issues together to cope with scarcity. Now, and we will see how consumer reaches equilibrium where he is not interested in moving to any other point apart from that point, right? So budget line in this graph you can see is represented with the help of the linear curve downward sloping P and L. You can see P and L over here. PL is a price line or the budget line which is represented over here. In order to draw this budget line, we need few things to be mentioned, and these few things to be mentioned is the price of samosas we must know, the price of ice cream we must know, and the total budget of the consumer we must know in order to draw this PL. Now here the imaginary price of samosa is 100 rupees, ice cream 100 rupees, and the total budget which consumer has to spend is 1000 rupees. So here we are saying that consumer has to spend these on these two goods the entire budget. So there should not be any saving. We are only talking about the consumption of these two goods, right? Now you can see one technical fact of this budget line is that all the points on this budget line will be equal to 1000 rupees. So I have drawn this budget line taking into consideration the price of samosas and price of ice creams. P, which is also the 10 units of ice cream, can be bought in 1000 rupees when zero amount of samosa is bought. On the other hand, if we do not buy any ice cream and only buy samosas, with 100 rupees we can buy 10 units of samosas if the price of samosa is 100 rupees each samosa. So, and that at that point of time the ice cream bought will be only 0. Let's calculate these three points on the budget line A, B and C and find out whether the budget line has this distinct feature of same budget around all the points. So let's take point A. Now you see at point A 9 units of ice cream being bought and 1 unit of samosa being bought. So if I buy 9 units of ice cream with price 100 each, I'll be paying 900 rupees for buying ice cream and 100 rupees for buying samosas. 900 plus 100 will be 1000 rupees. So you see point A, which is on the budget line as well, represents 1000 rupees. Let us come to point B. At point B, 5 units of ice cream and 5 units of samosas are bought. 5 into 100 is 500, 5 into 100 is 500, 500 plus 500 again comes back to 1000 rupees. So again we are on the same budget line which represents 1000 rupees at point B with combination 5 of ice cream and 5 of samosas. Let us come back to the third point, which is point C on the budget line. This point C has 9 units of samosas, which is 100 rupees each, makes it to 900, and 1 unit of ice cream again 100 rupee, which makes it to 100 rupees. So 900 plus 100 again comes back to the same budget, which is 1000 rupees. So you see the distinct feature of budget line is that it has same budget, it has same amount on all the points which we have mentioned over here. You can find out different points as well if you want to, keeping the amount of ice cream and samosas with a regular graph paper. Right, now what we have to see over here is, with this budget constraint as PL, will consumer be interested or will able to buy IC3 or any combinations on IC3 and achieve highest level of satisfaction? It clearly we can clearly see that any point under the budget line, whether it is K, A, B or C, can be bought within the reach of the consumer. But any point outside the budget line is not accessible to the consumer. Why it is not accessible to the consumer? Let us see point D and see whether consumer can buy this combination which is at point D. Point D says 9 units of ice creams and 3 units of samosas, right? Now that means in order to buy 9 units of ice creams, you need to pay 900 rupees. In order to buy 3 units of samosas, you need to pay 300 rupees. 9 plus 3 is 12. That means you have to pay 1200 rupees to buy this combination at D. So this is out of our budget because our maximum budget is 1000 rupees. Again, if you go back to F, you will find the same thing. At F also 9 samosas for 900 rupees, 3 ice creams for 300 rupees, and 1200 rupees is out of our budget. That means point H and G and J is out of question to find out whether we can reach to this point or not. We would definitely want to, but we have limited budget constraint, and the budget constraint on limited resources is shown with the help of this budget line, which is PL, which is also known as price line in economics books. Okay, now what will be consumer's equilibrium in this case? Now you can see that all the points outside the budget line are out of question. So we will remove these points. We can't reach to D, H, G, J, F. What is available to us is A, B, C and K. K is also available to us because we can buy some amount of ice creams and some amount of samosas because it is inside the budget line, right? Now, consumer being a rational person means he would try to maximize his utility. Which combination would he prefer out of these 4 combinations? Okay, let's go start with A. The combination A again represents 1000 rupees. Combination B represents 1000 rupees. Combination C represents 1000 rupees. Combination K represents less than that. We have the assumption that consumer has to spend entire amount, so combination K also goes out of question. The rest is A, B and C. Now out of these A, B and C, which point you would choose? If you're a rational person, which combination you would choose? Definitely you would try to maximize your benefit or utility from this consumption. So first you will see that if you choose point A, you will be on the lower indifference curve, IC1. If you choose point B, you are on the high indifference curve, IC2. If you choose point C, you are again on the lower indifference curve, which is IC1. So you can see that out of these three combinations, if you are a utility maximizer, you are definitely wanting to achieve B point, which is at the same budget line as it is on A or C. But A and C are giving him lower level of satisfaction compared to B, which is on the higher indifference curve, IC2, and giving him the same budget constraint, same budget, same price which he has to pay compared to A and C, but he is on the higher level of indifference curve. So definitely a utility maximizer, a rational person, would not choose A or C paying same amount, being on the lower indifference curve compared to B. He is also at the same level of satisfaction when he chooses D and F. But unfortunately, his budget is not that great, so he would only choose B. So this B portion, the combination of 5 ice creams and 5 samosas, is giving him the highest level of satisfaction with the budget constraint, which is 1,000 rupees in this case. And he is at equilibrium. This consumer is at equilibrium at B. There is no option for him or her to move from this B position. That is why it is called as equilibrium. Means this is a state of rest. This B point is a state of rest. He has no way will move towards A or towards C unless and until there is a change in the prices of either the samosa or the ice cream or both, or there's an increase in income or decrease in income, which shifts the budget line up and down respectively. So this is all about consumers' equilibrium and with the help of indifference curve analysis. I hope you have understood this. If you have not understood this, you can put it in a comment box. I'll explain it over there if you want more explanation from this point of view. Thank you very much. I know it was too technical and too heavy to be understood by non-economic students. But this video is specifically for those who want to understand the indifference curve analysis, those who are there in their 10+2 degrees or PG and need to understand these graphical representations. I'll make sure that I'll put up such videos again if you like it, to explain these graphs in a simple manner. And take care. Bye.